Special meeting of Apache Junction City Council. Roll call.
Mayor Wilson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Present.
Councilmember Cross,
Here.
Councilmember Heck,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Nesser,
Present.
Councilmember Soller.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. New business. Preparation and discussion with the mayor and city council on the fiscal year 2023-24 budget, classification and compensation plan for city employees and public safety personnel, retirement system, pension fund policy. Leslie.
So, Your Honor, I'll kick this off and then turn it to Leslie tonight. You'll have two presentations. One's from Finance, and then one is from HR. One will go over the budget, fiscal year 23-24. Tonight, you have here with you your department directors. This is the first, we call it a work session-like meeting. It's a special meeting that we do with the budget, where we roll out the revenues to expenditures for this fiscal year. I'm very happy and pleased that we have before you a draft balanced budget. Unlike the federal government, we have to get it balanced. And we work very hard to do that. I'm very thankful to the budget team and finance and HR that have helped make that happen, but also even more importantly, our department directors who have worked so closely with us to help make that happen. So we'll turn it over to Leslie and go from there.
Did you save it on the work session drive? Ah, okay.
No.
How about now? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
it's on now.
So this year, we're looking at positive sales tax revenue again. Our state shared revenues are also very positive. This year, we included a employee increase compensation plan to account for inflation and merit. And then we also included a lot of maintenance and rehab and other capital projects that we'll show you later. This is just a summary of our balanced budget for the different funds. We included the general fund and all the special revenue funds combined, and then our capital fund. We have about $9 million planned in capital expenditures for a variety of items. We have several police projects. We have a lot of parks and rec projects, and we have some public work projects, and we have a good list of IT improvements as well. And these are all part of the budget in the last couple pages that was part of the, that you all have received, and it's online as well. This is just to show the variety of revenues that we have in here, and you can see sales tax make up a good portion, more than half of our revenues. State shared sales tax and income tax make up about almost the other half, and then we have a little bit of other sources for fees and other types of miscellaneous revenues through the city. And here is our expenses. The city's #1 expense is personnel. After that, it's purchase services, and then commodities, which are your physical goods. And we have a little bit of operating capital assets in there, and we have a little bit of debt service now. Our special revenue funds are divided up. Our biggest special revenue fund is HERF. It's closely followed by development fees, and then we have street projects, gifts and grants, and our fiscal recovery fund. All of these have restricted revenue sources and restricted expenditures, so we have to spend them on whatever that program is for. We can't dip into that. And our expenditures, again, the expenditures very closely follow the revenues for each of the special revenue funds. And here's our breakout of our different types of projects by funds. and by department. You have the complete list in the back of your draft budget book, but this is just a high-level summary of where all of these projects are going to fall this year. And last year, we did complete some nice projects. We did this is this the stormwater?
Yes.
Stormwater project. And we remodeled the public safety dispatch, or got new equipment in there. And this is my personal favorite, new playground equipment, which is so pretty and nice and shaded. And then these projects we started, but we haven't finished them. We actually just made the wire transfer to purchase the rodeo grounds. And so that one is just almost complete. The public safety dispatch is a long process to get that, and I believe that's dispatch and the CAD program. It's a long process to get that programmed. And then the Dirtwater Stormwater Basin is still ongoing project, and that will take several years as well. Again, for fiscal year 23-24, we have a lot of information technology infrastructure improvements, a lot of public safety equipment, Parks and Rec, facilities and infrastructure, and then for Public Works, we have fleet and HVAC improvements. And then we have a contingency to cover various grant matching, and thank you, and any kind of emergency projects that come up. And one of the projects that we will be starting this year, but it won't finish until next year, is this extension off of the MGC, which will add office and administration space, but not block the view, and it will also have a balcony space where we can have events. And that is it, and we can open it up for this. We can open it for questions related to the budget, or we can go directly to the class and comp and then do questions.
Let's just do it all first.
Okay.
Do it all first, so we'll
Yep.
switch it over to Anna.
Leslie, just really quick, we also have the PSPRS funding policy. I don't know if we should just discuss that briefly right now or after class and comp. I can pull that up.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, it's attached to the agenda, so just give me one moment. Oh, wrong one, sorry.
Can you make it a little bigger, do you think?
Yeah.
So every year, we are required by state law to publish our public safety personnel retirement pension funding policy. So last year, we issued the bond, and we bought down that unfunded liability. Right now, currently, it doesn't show yet because we bought that bond in July, and we bought it down in July, but their report ended June 30th. So it still shows a big liability. Next year, you're going to see that be almost gone. And then we had to just change the language a little bit to talk about what we're going to do to maintain a zero funded liability. So this is from their actuarial report that they file every year, and it still shows that we owe $27 million, which we do not at this point in time. But next year, you're going to see that show up. Did you have any questions on the pension funding policy?
I do have a question. Are we going to wait to the end?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Question I have, Leslie, is, and you actually have it right here, just for clarification, it says the city's police employees who are regularly assigned hazardous duty participate in the PSPRS. So no other police employees participate except those that are assigned hazardous duty. Is that
It's just sworn
correct?
police, isn't
That's
it?
right.
Sworn police?
Pardon? The sworn officer, okay.
Sworn officers, right.
Okay, all right,
So
I
your
wasn't-
telecommunications, they're part of the ASRS.
I'm sorry?
The telecommunications personnel, they're part of the ASRS.
That's
Arizona
the-
State Retirement System, so the same system the rest of us are in.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, my question was going to be, so where do they fit into this then? Okay, got it. All right, perfect, thank you.
Any other questions on the pension policy?
Nope, just related to this, Matt, we sent an email out to the mayor and council this morning about our work that we're gonna do on the 15th, May 15th and 16th, to do those new statutory requirements that the Auditor General reminded us of over the weekend.
Right.
I don't know if you need to go over that
And
at all, but we're,
Just very simply like this requirement that the state has us report on this policy, they have us designate a CFO each year, a chief financial officer, and that's, of course, our finance director. And it's just an annual thing we have to do, and we'll be having that at the next set of meetings for you to see. It's a resolution that designates and notifies the state who our CFO is.
And that allows me to file reports with them.
And I have to apologize because I received the email on Thursday, but I didn't read my email until Sunday. So I forwarded it to you all.
that's okay.
Is there a way to do that so it automatically re-ups, or we have to do it every year?
They require a new resolution every year.
Okay. Must be fresh.
Yes. Yes.
On the funding of the retirement system, a lot of policies require a minimum of 80% or 90% funding. Is our goal 100%?
Our goal is 100%. It will vary as different things change, like investment earnings on the plan, whether or not we bring in laterals with some pre-existing liability and things like that. But we actually have a pension funding reserve that we can use to buy that down, and we pay our current contributions every year anyway. So our goal is to maintain 100%, but it will fluctuate slightly.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions in the other part of it?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Nope. So any other presentations?
We're gonna bring up Anna's presentation right now.
Okay.
I just want to make mention that headwinds are always things that I worry about. Don't want to be the downer, but I do think that there are some things out there that we all need to pay attention to, like words of talk of a recession later this year, and that'll have impact to some degree on our revenues, and we'll definitely manage our expenditures accordingly. The state legislature attempted to take away two major funding sources for the city of Apache Junction, food tax and also the residential tax. Could have impacted our budget to $4 million in our base budget. That did not happen. And then in calendar year 25, we have a 0.2% sales tax that we've utilized for the last 9 years or so for street and roads, and then a 0.2% sales tax for public safety that goes away in 2026. So just a reminder, those are out there and we're watching those. Thank you, Yana.
All right. Good evening, Anna McCrae, Human Resources Director. I am pleased to present to you this evening the fiscal year 23-24 classification and compensation plans for city employees and public safety sworn officers this evening. You will be presented the water districts tomorrow evening during that meeting. Currently, there is one classification plan and 7 salary schedules that are on our HR website. We have spent considerable time on paring the number of those documents down and are happy to report that those 8 existing documents will be replaced by 3. So what we've done is we have combined the classification plan with the compensation plans. So information such as title, exempt status, pay grade, and range of pay can be found in one of those 3 documents, and one no longer has to go to one document for one piece of information, another document for another piece of information, and so on. In doing so, there will be better transparency of compensation, and info is easier to find by being all in one spot. This will help both applicants and HR during the recruitment and hiring process. In the proposed budget and compensation plans before you, all non-sworn tables have been indexed by 3.5%, which means that every step within each of the pay grades have increased by 3.5%. This is aimed at remaining competitive in the market while also providing some amount to cope with the cost of living. In addition, if the budget is passed as is, each non-sworn employee will receive a 2.5% step increase. So they'll move one step up in their pay grade for a total of almost then 6% increase for each non-sworn employee in the city. And then moving on to the sworn officer positions, we have the average of sworn positions. The salary tables have indexed by 10%. This is again to remain competitive in the market. We've also added 2 additional steps to the officer salary schedule and 1 to the sergeant salary schedule to help with a compression and allow for growth. We have numerous laterals joining AJPD who, depending on experience, come in at a higher step within the salary schedule. Lastly, existing corporals will no longer have their own salary schedule. They will be assumed in the officer salary schedule. This is because the police department is phasing out the corporal position. We have several existing, but they will be hiring no more. The sergeant will become that supervisor for the employees, the officers beneath them. There's no more blurred lines with the sergeant, the corporal, and the officer on who that supervisor is, and the sergeant has more training than the corporal to perform those duties. This is a trend that is being seen in other police departments across the nation as well. That concludes my presentation, short and sweet. I can answer any questions you may have.
Any
Mayor?
questions?
No.
Yes.
The corporal position, the ones that are corporals, they're not going to get a salary decrease, are they?
They will not. They actually will get the same as other city employees, non-sworn. They will be moved up 3.5% and then to the nearest step in the officer pay schedule.
Any other questions?
No.
No.
So this is the first step. We've got a couple public hearings still left in the budget process. And as we go, continue to ask questions. Matt and I will field those with answers as we go and make sure you see each other's questions like we've done in prior years. But for our new council members, our goal is to make sure you understand all the questions that are being asked and that you get all the answers.
Okay.
I have a couple of questions. I thought we were waiting till the end to do it.
Okay.
Can I ask them now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, first one, for the public safety retirement sales tax, just trying to understand where that revenue is reflected. And it looks like it's in the public safety development fees on page 6. Do you?
No.
No, the 2% tax is part of the sales tax. It's just a
Oh,
portion of
okay.
it.
Oh, all right.
And just a reminder, even though we did pay down that liability, we still have to pay debt service
That's-
for 20
well,
years. So
my
that's
next-
what we're going to be using
Okay,
it
my
for.
next question was, in the government ops on page 5, there's a debt service figure of $2.35 million.
That's-
I assume that bond that's part of, that's not the whole amount. it's
Right, so
probably
that
part of
moved away from their personnel expense into a debt service expense.
Got it, okay. And then, wait a minute, where am I? Oh, library expense, page 9, there's a debt service figure in there for them.
Yeah, that was part of their remodel, and I think we only have a year or 2 left on that.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
So a long time ago.
yeah,
Yeah.
we're almost done.
And then in development fees fund and page 9 expenses, 12.2 million. What is that? Where?
So we actually don't have, I don't know of a specific program for the development fees, but we will be collecting revenues for development fees, and we have a balance in there. So we have to put it in there, because otherwise, if we choose to spend it, we can't spend it.
Spend it,
You know, so
okay.
so that we can if
So
we
you
choose to spend
identified it there so you can spend that.
Right, yeah.
Got it. Senior Services Fund, page 10, purchase services, reduced by 62,000. Is that part of the meals for them and the transportation? Is that what that's, are we
Right,
cutting
and
that back?
I don't know if Pam, is it
It's
Pam?
actually Liz.
Liz, yeah, so what happened with that is, I believe the county took over a good portion of that now, and so we don't need to pay for that portion any longer, and that's why it's decreasing so much.
Okay, so we're not reducing services.
We are not reducing services.
Okay, all right.
And Matt, let's make sure, for this one, let's make sure, because Liz can verify that in a question and answer.
Yep.
And then one last one, grants and other special funding, page 11. The personnel, there's an increase of 350,000. I assume that we're just adding personnel in the
Is,
grant?
well, I'm sorry, let me look at the
That's
page
done.
11.
On the grants.
First things first.
For what?
Yeah, those are grant-funded positions. So that could be, if it's in the library, it's the first things first. If it's SRO officers, it's SOR officers, but basically we get funding for certain positions. I think they have some other program in the library, maybe an intern or something, but we get the money in to pay for those positions
Okay, all right, so there'll be an expense here, but then there'll be revenue to
here as
offset
well.
that expense.
Yeah.
All right, perfect, okay. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay. I will adjourn the special meeting. And now we'll go into our city council work session. Timeout?
Oh, wait. Really? Seriously?
We gotta change who we are.
Did they switch?
Should we just change hats?
Wow.
I got one over here.
Yeah.
I didn't notice.
I never looked. Apparently you were there all
I don't,
I doing that, Robin. You see you sneak in.
that Robert doing that, were you messing around?
Wasn't me.
Look at this.
Wasn't me.
Look at this.
Okay,
I live comfortable. I like it.
I
No,
will
you don't have shorts on.
call to the order the City of Apache Junction work session. Roll call.
Mayor Wilson,
Here.
Vice Mayor Schroeder,
Here.
Councilmember Cross,
Here.
Councilmember Heck,
Here.
Councilmember Johnson,
Here.
Councilmember Nesser,
Present.
Councilmember Soller.
Here.
You have a quorum, Your Honor.
Thank you. We only have one thing on the agenda, presentation and discussion of the Maricopa Association of Governments Superstition Vistas Multi-Module Transportation Planning Study with MAG. Rudy.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Rudy Esquivias. I'm the Development Services Director for the city. Mr. Mayor, for the last few months, it's been my pleasure to be part of a technical advisory group on the Superstition Vistas Multimodal Transportation Planning Study with our friends from MAG. Growth has finally come to our East Valley. What's happening down south in our own city limits, what's happening in Queen Creek, what's happening in Florence, what's happening in Santan. A lot of growth, certainly a lot of need for coordination with the future transportation network to serve all this growth that is anticipated to happen. The movement of people and goods and rail, car, transit, bicycle, the whole gamut of what transportation will be like in the East Valley. And these kinds of things I'll start with planning studies, of course. And our friends from MAG, Kevin Kugler and Hannah Quincy, are here to give us an overview of the effort thus far. And of course, there's going to be stakeholder group meetings. There's going to be public official information meetings. There's going to be drafts, and we're contributing all kinds of information, the various cities, the different groups that are involved to inform the transportation study. And I'll let them take it from here and give us a short PowerPoint, and we're going to be involved with them for about the next 18 months or so, and hopefully we'll produce some good recommendations at the end of the process to help growth in the Southeast Valley. And Mr. Mayor, here's Hannah Quincy.
Go, Hannah.
Thank you so much for having me. My name is Hannah Quincy. I'm a transportation planner with the Maricopa Association of Governments. I'm joined today by Kevin Kugler, who is the principal with Michael Baker International, who is also assisting on the consultant side with our study. So Mayor Wilson and council members, it is my pleasure to be here tonight to offer you an introduction to our Superstition Vistas Multimodal Transportation Planning Study, and to give you an overview of the goals, objectives, and process, a timeline for our study, and to give you the opportunity to provide input and share your issues, concerns, and objectives with us on this study, really on the front end of our study, so that we can be aware of your input and consider it throughout the duration of our study. Just going to touch on the agenda for this quick presentation that I'm giving you today. We're going to talk about the study and objectives, give you a quick overview. I'm going to touch on the technical advisory group that Rudy mentioned, as well as our stakeholder focus groups, and talk to you a little bit more about these elected official briefings and give you the opportunity to provide input on our study. So the objective of the Superstition Vistas Multimodal Transportation Planning Study is to develop a coordinated vision of a multimodal transportation network across jurisdictions that enhances mobility and accessibility of people and goods to and within our study area for the near term, which we're looking at 2030 as the near-term horizon, and the long-term horizon of 2050. This study will help jurisdictions such as yours in and around this study area gain a better understanding of all the multimodal transportation needs and challenges so that we can provide an initial vision for a transportation framework that really supports all the projected growth that we're seeing now and into the future. So this includes really understanding roadway, rail, freight, bicycle, pedestrians, transit, all the multimodal transportation needs. And so in order to develop the transportation framework, this network, and service alternatives, our recommendations will be built on looking at not only existing needs, but the anticipated growth and development, planned roadway extensions and expansions, existing and planned energy and water infrastructure systems, as well as land use plans. We'll conduct travel demand modeling and really do an extensive effort to coordinate amongst stakeholders to understand their needs as well to create a shared vision. So I just want to touch on our study area and give you the visual. It's a very large study area, approximately 287 square miles in northern Pinal County, located in the southeastern portion of our region. So the study boundaries include Hawes Road, which travels through the city of Mesa and the town of Queen Creek through Santan Mountain Park to the west on the western edge. Then traveling on the southern edge, it traverses the Gila River Indian community as well as the Santan Valley, the town of Florence along Arizona Farms Road, and then heading back up north, travels along State Route 79 and the US 60 on the eastern side, and then Southern Avenue in the city of Apache Junction and Mesa to the north. I also want to note that there's just a considerable amount of Arizona state land within the study area. And we have really a kind of various needs and patterns, if you will, considering the Central Arizona project, the canal. On one side, we have a lot of growth and development, and on another side, a lot of undeveloped land. So just a really myriad of different needs and development patterns that we're considering throughout this large study area. So I just want to touch on our study process a little bit and give you an idea of how we're conducting this study. As Rudy mentioned, that we are having, the study will be about an 18-month-long process, so about another year from now, and will be formulated through about 6 different tasks. Task 1 being project management, task 2, really a comprehensive and collaborative public and stakeholder engagement approach that will span the entire length of the study. And this also includes 2 rounds of elected official briefings, the first being tonight with you and with our other jurisdictional partners as well. Task 3 will be conducting data collection and doing analysis with existing and forecasted conditions. In Task 4, we will be developing a vision and goals and multimodal transportation system alternatives. In Task 5, we will turn those alternatives into system recommendations, as well as developing a funding and implementation plan. And task 6 is our final report. So we have brought together a technical advisory group and established this for the project. Our TAG consists of senior staff members from representatives from each of the government agencies represented in the study area, and Rudy is representing your city here on our TAG. The other members of our TAG include ADOT, as well as Arizona State Lands, Town of Florence, Gila River Indian Community, City of Mesa, Pinal County, and the Town of Queen Creek. So our TAG members are really, really important for the study to offer us feedback and guidance and oversight from your agency's perspective and to help us build consensus on our study recommendations. Also equally important are stakeholders. So for considering all the growth that's happening within Pinal County, the economic pressures that are occurring, the traffic congestion that's occurring in and around the study area, I do want to highlight that stakeholder coordination is so especially important as a part of our study so that we can really coordinate and create a shared vision for our future multimodal transportation network. Along with our TAG agency coordination, we're engaging stakeholders to integrate existing infrastructure systems, as well as plan development into our study's recommended multimodal network, especially considering that our study area contains large tracts of state land trust, as well as significant energy and water infrastructure systems, both that are existing today and that are planned for the future. So our stakeholders that we are engaging, they include interests from energy, water, flood protection, rail and freight providers, public transportation, bike users, and there are a myriad of different stakeholders within those individual interests. So we are engaging our stakeholders at 3 milestones throughout the study. We've first been conducting one-on-one stakeholder interviews to get an opportunity to really dive in and understand needs and plans. And then we will bring our stakeholders back together at a couple other points throughout the study for focus groups so that we can coordinate amongst the stakeholders. And we're hearing from them that they are really looking for that opportunity to share their plans, share a coordinated vision amongst other stakeholders within the study area. So hearing a lot of positive feedback on that. In terms of our elected official briefings, again, I just want to emphasize that we're conducting 2 rounds of these opportunities to provide a presentation to you and for you to provide input on our study throughout the course of our study. So in addition today, we're going to come back to you when we have the draft plan recommendations, and that is anticipated to occur in late 2023 or maybe early 2024. So with that, Mayor Wilson and council members, that concludes my presentation, and I'm welcoming for you to provide any input, ask any questions at this time. Thank you so much.
Any questions over here?
Yeah.
Yep, okay.
We talk about rail, you talk about bikes, you talk about, we're this close to the Jetsons. Are we gonna have flight type transportation? Just, I can see with the growth, one of the biggest factors we have here in AJ that we hear a lot as from our constituents is the lack of public transportation for people to get to where all the jobs are. Well, we hope to get more jobs here so they don't have to travel there. So just a couple thoughts.
Well, thank you for those thoughts, council member. I do want to note that we are engaging with transit providers within the study area and adjacent to the study area, such as CART and Valley Metro, to understand the, provision of existing transit services and, what it takes to expand. But just really want to understand what the needs and demands are for users and residents within the study area. So we're exploring all of that to gain an understanding to build some recommendations.
Thank you.
Yes.
Your Honor. Hi. How is MAG identifying specifically who are the 4 stakeholders, or who makes up the 4 stakeholders?
Well, those are 4 stakeholder categories, but we have several different stakeholders that we're engaging within those different categories. Like I mentioned, for example, with public transportation, we've been engaging Valley Metro and CART, but even within, energy and water and flood, we've already engaged with various different entities. For example, we've already reached out and talked to Apache Junction, Superstition Mountain Community Facilities District Number 1 to understand those specific needs and plans for expansion. But we have plans to also talk to every municipality's sort of water department, understanding water needs, and talk to SRP and Flood Control District. We have talked to some rail and freight providers as well. We've been in meeting with Union Pacific. So the list goes on, but those are some examples of some of the stakeholders, but there are several we've engaged with so far on the study and will continue to. In addition to that, we are planning a community open house June 1st as well, and we'll have 3 community open houses throughout the study that are virtual so that we can get input from the whole community, whether that's residents, business owners, stakeholders within the study area. We invite everyone to attend and provide their input and ask questions.
Thank you.
Your Honor. Your Honor.
Okay.
Is there a way that you can make at least one of those, of the 3 virtuals, to be actual in person? Because there's a lot of people that are more of a hands-on type thing that would like to be able to actually face-to-face interact with people. I think it would be very beneficial to have at least one full hands-on open house.
Okay, well, we can take that into consideration at the time. We just have virtual plan, but we'll certainly take that feedback and
Thank you.
think about it.
Your Honor, I have a question. So regarding public transportation, or talking buses?
Really, there's a lot of different considerations with public transportation. We're trying to understand, not only fixed route needs, but, additionally commuter needs, paratransit for seniors and people with disabilities, and also new and emerging technologies like microtransit, sort of the first last mile type of transportation, or an on-demand type service. So really considering the full gamut of services that are considered public transportation.
So on the map, we got Southern Avenue and then heading south. So this is our target area is really our new area down south. And that's, Ironwood Road is going to end up being like a 3-lane road. So, I mean, I wouldn't imagine stops, right? So shuttles, things like that. So what you're explaining to me is that, hey, we're not just talking buses, we're talking all different sorts of things.
Right, and I think we are going to do a transit propensity analysis to understand where, transit makes the most sense to actually thrive and to be productive. But, we're also looking to hear from the community and from you on where those needs might exist and who may be needing to be served by public transit that you're hearing about.
That would be north of that line where you would, that you showed us. But okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I agree with Councilman Schroeder. The people down south are going to drive. The people up here would need the transportation more. I don't know if you can expand that or not, but it should be the northern area of our city.
So the study area, again, it's a very, very large, diverse study area, and there's going to be a lot of differing needs depending on where we're talking about within the study area. And so I certainly hear you about, specifically sort of within our study area, maybe that driving is the most important thing. And I would say that a key component of this study is creating the sort of our future arterial grid network and sort of recommending that framework as an alternative and as a recommendation. That is a key and major component of this study as well.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Okay.
Regarding light rail, in your study, I would hope that you provide detailed information on rider use and whether it's paying for itself as it goes, or if it's being majorly subsidized by taxpayers throughout Arizona. I see light rail every day, and I see a lot of empty spaces on it. Seems to be more of a homeless shelter during the heat of the summer than it is actually providing a service for people that are needing to get to work. Based on that, as you could tell, I'm not a huge fan. Somehow or another, maybe down the road, they can make me a fan if they can show that it's actually, providing a service for a multitude of people, not just a select few.
Thank you, Council Member. So one of the components of the study is that we will develop a funding and implementation plan for all of the recommendations, right? And so that would include, what we understand to be the best sources of funds to be able to apply for any of the recommendations and really projected cost. And I think the transit propensity analysis that we'll do will help point towards what the right mode would be for any type of new service in this area. So it will be basically right-sized for what the potential ridership could be. But the propensity analysis will tell us what, if any, is the potential ridership of a transit mode.
Okay.
Your Honor, one more question.
Okay.
Will the next elected official meeting have more of a pinpoint situation on this is what we're going for, this is the road we're going down, or is this going to the third?
Vice Mayor, yes, that is correct. Next time we come back, we will have the draft plan recommendations for you to provide input on.
Thank
you. Okay, I have one.
And I'll just, Your Honor.
Yes.
It's Brian over here. This is in my mind what the category of proper preparation prevents poor performance world. And what I mean by that is this is the time now to truly prepare for something that could be this issue of the state land, for example. This community has worked with the state land department 20 years to unlock 4 square miles. There's 275 square miles. So I'm really interested in how we're going to interact with them to get that. When I explain to people who see Superstition Vistas and they say, oh, that's going to be 1 million people, how can that be? And I'm like, well, there's going to be a few recessions. There's going to be critique on water, that availability. And if it was to go market-wise, the ability for D.R. Horton, which is one of the fastest home builders in the country to build, we're looking at about 300 to 350 years away. So in terms of planning, we're way out there ahead. I mean, in terms of my reality of what I really think is going to happen with that state land and getting that open. So in terms of light rail coming to AJ, I don't want folks to think it's like anywhere near around the corner. This is just that preparation time to start thinking about. We've been working a long time on our lines on a map for the North-South Freeway, the 24 extension. I think this will help start to really evaluate that in a more meaningful way so that when we have tax revenue that can match the ability, because right now there's no funding sources for any of those. And so we'll have to keep working on that. And anyways, for what that's worth, this is to me planning for way out there in the future. And it's your chance to luckily have the ability to not have development already there, like the 202 was and the 303 or our 404. So thank you for that, Mayor.
Okay, now I can do my question.
Your Honor, no.
There is a lot of state land out there that's part of this. And in the state land, there's a lot of, I'll say, bike trails and horse trails that have been using them for many years. And yes, there is some people that actually use a horse, go to and from their home, even
Or
the
work.
city, or city facilities. And you're talking about the bike uses for our community. Can you also include equine uses?
Mayor, yes, thank you so much for that input. We are considering those uses, and if there are any specific stakeholders that you would like us to coordinate with to understand very specific uses now or plans for the future, we'd be really happy to work with them on this study. We've been talking to Santan shredders already to understand some of the trail uses throughout the study area, but we love to hear this kind of feedback, and if there's anyone else specifically that we can coordinate with on the study, we are very much amenable to that.
Superstition Horsemen's Association,
I'm writing it down.
please.
Thank you.
Also, East Valley Backcountry Horsemen's Association.
And the second one was,
East Valley Backcountry Horsemen's Association. Those are the two biggest stakeholders for equine here in town. There are just like Rangers, the Goldfield Ghost Riders.
Councilman Byrd, thank you so much for that feedback.
Yes.
And I do believe even in the Queen Creek area, there's some equine.
Yeah,
I'll say,
Queen Creek Mounted Rangers as well. And if you reach out to them, they'll probably be able to provide you with other groups that ride out down there, especially in the Santan area.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
I just want to say, I'm not sure that I can commit to being on city council 300 years from now. I want to clarify that, all right?
I think I will pass on that one.
Lucky to go 300 days.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. It was my pleasure.
Yeah, and we look forward to the future meetings.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. And since there's nothing else for work session, I will adjourn.